Sermon 31 from Nahjul Balagah calls us to question why some changes occurred in people. Why it's as if we don't know them anymore, but we did know them in terms of their temper and such. And sometimes it's not a time to go and correct people. Sometimes it's because of what needs to be dealt with at the time, because this was before the Battle of Jamal. And letter 31 is the will that Ali wrote on the way back from Siffin when he was at Hazareen. It's important to acknowledge the hardships of the time, the evils going on. And who lives as if dead. Who is a victim and who is a hardship. And who, who's a target of hardship. Who brings about the things of this world for the sake of the world. Who, encourages deception. Who owes people for what they want. Who's a slave to the fact that, I'm going to die. And who worries for the sake of worry. Who's bereaved without needing to be bereaved. Who's distressed or overpowered without, but we're all going to approach difficulties. We're all going to approach death. And if you turn away from the world, or the world in itself turns away from you, there are things to learn from that. And don't suffer because things are difficult for others. Regard what concerns you. But we should have compassion for others. But the connection is most complete with God. It's not with the creation. You can't rely on the rest. And remembering death and that what we choose with this life is important in regards to how we're going to be after death. These are things that we should not compromise with. And whether we're fighting or another sort of struggle, it needs to be in the way of God. Not just the name of God, in the way of God. It needs to be according to those principles that virtually condemn every war. Well, condemn virtually every war. That's probably a more understanding way to put it. And we should be tough and, be somebody who could go through difficulty. And honestly, a lot of life is so much easier if we just, it's difficult. Am I going to do it? Oh, I'm not going to do it because it's difficult. I can't think of a single person I've ever even heard of that didn't make their life more difficult. And let us benefit with our knowledge. Let us achieve to the beneficial knowledge. And let us not fill our heads with, what's useless. Let us not, give up or harden our hearts or whatever. And if you're going to be stubborn about doing what's right, not, oh, it's what I want to do. And then, people falling into a lot of mischief of various sorts.